This video is going to talk really quickly about how to read a inch scale ruler. Now, a standard inch scale ruler is going to be measured normally to the nearest 16th of an inch. But a lot of times what you'll see on the rulers themselves is they're only actually marked at the inch marks. The rest of these are up to you. And if you go in and count them, the marks in between, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 marks, and then the 16th mark would be back to 2 inches. So there's 16 equal divisions on your standard ruler for each 16th of an inch. And what you'll notice on most rulers is some of them are bigger. So this one in the very middle here is the tallest of all of them. That's because it is the 1/2 inch. And then if you find the ones here and here, those are the next tallest. They're the 1/4 inches. Next tallest are the 1/8 inches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And then the very shortest ones are the 16ths of an inch in between those. So if you see your standard inch ruler, you've got an inch here, halfway in between the 0, which sometimes is marked and sometimes isn't. You'll see the 1/2 inch mark. If you divide this into fourths, you'll see the 1/4 inches. So there's a 1/4. This one would be 2/4, which would just simplify the fraction to a 1/2. And then you've got 3/4. In between those, you'll have the eighths. So 1/8. This one would be 2/8. 3/8. 4/8, but again, simplifies to a 1/2. 5/8. 6/8 simplifies to 3/4. 7/8. And then 8/8 is your inch again. And then in between that, you've got all the 16ths. So 1/16, 2/16 is there. 3/16, 4/16, 5/16, 6, 7, 8/16, which again is a 1/2, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and you're back to 16/16. So that's how an inch ruler works. We always simplify our fractions. So even if you're going to count them, if you want to count the number of 16ths and you end up here and you have 4/16, we got to make sure we're simplifying our fractions. This is probably the only reason we still need to really know fractions, because inches are in fractions. So let's take a look at trying to measure some of these. Hopefully they show up well on the camera. And we'll talk about how you would measure these. So let's see if you can even see that. I'm going to have to zoom in. That's good enough. Okay, so right there. If we're looking at this, the first thing I want you to notice is that it's past the 2 inch and short of the 3 inch. So that gives us 2 inches and some fraction. Then probably the easiest way to do this is to just count the marks here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the mark ends right at the 8th. So we could say that's 2 8/16, but we of course need to simplify our fraction 2 1/2. Once you get a little more used to using an inch ruler, the taller ones you're going to recognize right away as halves. Your 1/4s are going to be pretty recognizable, your 8ths, things like that. But for now, if you just count the spaces and then simplify your fraction, you're going to be okay. Okay, moving on down to here. Take a look at this one. So here again, we're between the 2 and the 3 inches. So we've got 2 inches. And right here, if you notice, that's a 1/4 inch mark. So there's the 1/4, the 1/2, and then the 3/4. So we can say that's 2 3/4. But we can, of course, count our marks too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, 12/16 is going to simplify to 3/4. And then moving on down, one more here. You'll see this one ends right there. And again, you can certainly count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's 2 13/16. And in this case, 13/16 doesn't simplify, so that's as good as we can get. Now, with a standard inch ruler that's marked to the 16ths, you can actually be a little bit more accurate than that. Usually what we do with a measuring device is we allow one more estimated degree of accuracy, or precision, I guess is probably the better word. So I'm going to flip this one over and take a look at this example. All right. So if I put that one there, line it up, what you'll see is, hopefully you can see that pretty well. I can zoom in a little bit further. The mark ends right there. It's halfway between these two marks. All right. So what we can do is we've got between 1 and 2 inches. So it's 1 and something. If we count these marks out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's between 14 sixteenths and 15 sixteenths. So we need a number that's between those two. Now, we're not allowed to say something like 14 and a half sixteenths. That's not okay. What we need to do instead is to get 30 seconds. So we go one more down. So in 30 seconds of an inch, it's halfway between 28 30 seconds. You need a quick refresher on your math with fractions. I doubled the denominator, the bottom, so I doubled the numerator, the top. Then I can do the exact same thing with this one. That's 30 seconds. And so now it's pretty easy to find the number right in the middle, right? Between 28 30 seconds and 30 seconds is 31 30 seconds. So this, as accurately as we can read it from this ruler, is 1 and 31 30 seconds. And so when you do this activities in this class, if you're using a 16th inch ruler, I'm going to expect accuracy to the 30 seconds. We'll talk about how to do that with a metric ruler later on. But one thing to know here is if it ends up exactly at a mark, it's not going to be a 30 seconds. This is an 1/8 inch mark. So I would just write this as 1 and 7/8. If it was exactly at a 16th of an inch, I could write that as 1 and 15 sixteenths. It's only when it comes up right between, where it really is almost exactly between the two of them, that you're going to want to estimate to the 30 seconds. If it's even like noticeably closer to one or the other, we're going to go with, you see how it's a little bit past that, but not by much. I'd still want to go with 7/8. There's where it becomes a point where it's right in the middle. And if I go a little bit further, now I want to go to the next actual included line. So it's very small. You're not going to be, in certain situations, you're not going to be using this very much. And honestly, if it comes down to needing that much accuracy, there are much better tools than a ruler. But that's how we're going to do it for now.